Ugh. Still, we that just made it worse. Okay, to sit or not to sit? That is the question for today. I originally had a couple of other things that I was wanting to chat about, but something came up, an order came up, and completely sidetracked me. And I thought, well, I'd take that as an opportunity to maybe chat about something a little different. Heard a lot of people asking, should I sit? Should I stand? I don't know. You do whatever the hell is comfortable for you. It's easy, right? Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Night. Just kidding. No, if you've watched a couple of my other videos or seen me chatting elsewhere, I have to sit because of nerve damage. Makes it very... Ugh, I'm gonna quite close that because it gets really dark. It's actually uncomfortable doing anything, sitting for long periods of time or standing. So since I'm usually in here recording for a good couple hours at a time, I've got to be able to sit down, take some of the pressure off of my foot. So it can also have an effect on how you read. You're going to be wobbling around through this whole thing because I'm moving everywhere. Okay, hold still. And the reason why a lot of people prefer to stand is because you're better able to convey more energy in your read. You're sitting, you're kind of slouched typically. It'll affect your breath control, your energy. So it's better sometimes if you're able to stand up to be able to get that energy that you need in some of your scripts. But if you can't, there's a couple of things that I do to help me along depending on what I'm reading for. If I'm reading a more authoritative type read, and I need to clear my voice a little bit and I need to project more, I end up having to sit up very, very uncomfortably straight at the edge of my bench so that I get as straight as I possibly can and kind of get standing as much as I can without actually standing, if that makes any sense, because I need to be able to straighten myself up to project my voice into the microphone, because otherwise my voice cracks. I have a textured voice anyway, so I really have to work at clearing my voice up if I want to get that clearer sound, especially sitting down. Now, I do a lot of older reads, elderly video game characters, that kind of thing. So sometimes sitting actually helps me a little bit because I like to take the air out of my diaphragm. I don't know if that makes any sense. I like to not work with as much air puffed up in my chest, because I guess older lungs don't typically have the capacity to hold more air, so you get that frailer sound. That's a word, right? And I take advantage of the texture in my voice and put even more texture in my voice by kind of throwing my shoulders forward, taking some of the air out of my chest, and kind of allowing that texture to show through more. I'll get a little closer to the microphone so I don't have to speak as loudly, because there's not as much force and presence behind it, unless, you're trying to go for some obnoxious old man that yells at the kids to get off his damn lawn, and then you want to project out and you want to stand further back from the microphone, but that's a little different. My typical typecast is either the real old, not frail, but just older sounding, and I have an older sounding voice anyway. So I'll just let that texture show through, and it kind of puts a few years on my voice. Not like I need a few years on me, but I can use that to my advantage and make my voice sound older. And sometimes I have to get a more shrill voice. They want a shrill, like grandma kind of cute little grandma sound, and then I have to kind of shorten up my vocal folds a little bit. But either way, I take advantage of my seated position to take the air out of my chest and use that more frail sound, the less full, the less projecting type sound to my advantage to sound older. I have no idea if that's going to help anybody out. If you're trying to sound older, if you want to play around with an older sounding voice, I don't know, shrivel yourself up like a little prune. Just kind of curl yourself up and just kind of tighten up your voice a lot. Or you can lower your voice if you want to sound more authoritative, like an old wise woman kind of sound. So yeah, I don't know if that helps at all. But this part, this order that I received the other day, added on a short little line to it, and I was just going to record it real quick. That's another thing. I don't like to record whole scripts of orders because I don't know if I don't sign an NDA for most of this, but if there is some sort of a privacy issue, or they don't want the script out there, be careful if you're recording your auditions or you're doing examples like this. I'd rather be safe than sorry, so I don't usually record distinctly identifying chunks of any of the scripts that I get, unless it's like a practice script or something. But this is just the end piece. It's not any kind of a spoiler or anything, so I figured I'd just throw it out there. It's a short, teeny tiny little line, so you're not going to get a lot of context out of it anyway. Just the example of me kind of using the texture in my voice is to my advantage to sound older and wiser than I actually am. Much wiser than I actually am. To begin your investigation, light the only candle that isn't lit. And the chunk that I had recorded the night before, it was a much longer script. I had listened to it before doing this, so that I could kind of get my brain back into that character, so that I can just slap this at the very end of it, and it should sound, I'm about to try to keep myself consistent placement with my microphone. It's the other good thing about sitting, like having a nice stationary little spot to park yourself, is you can come back at the next day and have a consistent sound, as long as you keep your distance the same as you did when you normally record. So it's good to kind of keep consistent, because I'm going to throw this at the back end of a piece that I had already recorded, and it's got to sound seamless. Not that you recorded it later and then came back and stitched it together. It's got to sound perfectly seamless, like you recorded it all at the same time. If I can, I'll throw a little context of the beginning of the script and then the end of the script, so you can kind of get the tone of this older character that I was doing. Hopefully that helps. Ramble over? I don't know. Hopefully that helps. Rut, sickness, death. There is a heavy cloud that covers our town, unnatural and pervasive, and evil in its origin. Can you not feel it now? It's fog closing in around you. To begin your investigation, light the only candle that isn't lit. It's not Speed Racer, it's somebody in a big truck. And it is 2:19 a.m. right now. So what? This too shall pass. I'll just wait for it to pass.